Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of Lakeside Adventure here on Planet Coaster. A quick recap of episode 1. Obviously, we started off the park by building a grand entrance plaza. Starting off with a train station on the top of the building as guests come in. It's like a big feature for the entrance. And then we built a grand carousel in our sort of generic main entrance area of the park. The plan for this episode, what I'm currently starting to build here, is a sort of like a lakeside bar, lakeside restaurant. Kind of looking over. It's not a full-on restaurant. You can in Planet Coaster build restaurants, but this will just sort of be a selection of stalls inside a building with a sort of terrace looking out over the lake. So that is that's my that's my plan for this area. I just thought having that at the entrance would be a very good sort of hospitality venue to have. And then once this is built, we will be starting our first area or first country of the park. I won't tell you what it is just yet. I'll leave you hanging in suspense. And we'll be building our first coaster in that area. So quite a busy episode. The reason why I'm building this bar and restaurant here. Obviously, at the start of theme parks, you do have restaurants and bars and leisure facilities. You sometimes get them around the park, but the entrance tends to be where they sort of are. And if they are at the entrance, they don't have a particular theme as such. They're just mainly decorated in the park's style or colours. So I'm just going for this. I'm just going for a wooden style building. It is going to have 2 stories on. There is going to be a terrace on the top story as well. That's why I'm going for it. Again, with the lake, I thought having that view and putting sort of picnic benches out on the terrace, I think would look very would look very nice. It'd be a nice place to sit at night. And as you saw in episode 1, I want to focus on the detail and also making it look good at night time. I want to get the lighting right in this series. So you'll see when it comes to completion that the lighting and everything is taken into account for, and the view of it at night does turn out very good. So just in here now, obviously I'm just putting a few shops and stalls in. Just trying to work out the best way to put them in and the best style, because what I've done is I built the path using the square path system, but you can't build on top of the path, so I've just had to edit and adjust what I'd already done there. It's not going to be rammed full, because I don't want it to be like loads of guests queuing for all the different stalls in there. I just want a couple on the ground floor and a couple on the top floor. So we'll just go for the 3 down there, and then the 4 going on the top floor. So here I am just putting the benches out. As I say on when it looks good, either in the daytime or night time. I think it will look good from this lakeside terrace, and that is that's just my kind of plan with it. It isn't a quick build. Anyway, I'm just making the upper terrace. It isn't a quick build. It's all about getting it right, making it look good. And that is my plan for this. Originally, I had done a full terrace the same size as below, but then I thought no, it looks better if it's shorter at the top. And I'm pleased with how it does turn out. Just inside here, I did try and build a path down, and I was just going to have a straight run of a path like this. But then I thought the guests would be sort of bumping into each other on the way back as well. So in the end, I decided to sort of loop it round, which you'll see in a minute. Once I've adjusted it, the path kind of loops back round, so you can kind of go down one way and come back out the other, just like that. So as I say, it is something I want to spend more time on doing in this series, as opposed to just building square buildings with one shop in them. I want to have a purpose for everything I build, and put enough scenery and theming in to bring them to life, because that's what it's as much about that as it is about the rides, to make make a good theme park. So as you can see there, the buildings are hanging over the edge. Don't worry, that is adjusted. I ended up kind of overhanging the top half of the building over the entrance, which again I think does work well. It's all about getting getting the designs right. And although the designs can change as you're building it, as I say, sometimes it does work out for the better, and I think it has done here. So yeah, I'm just kind of adjusting how I want this to lay out inside and how I want this to look to the guests. And yeah, that's pretty much my plan here. I don't think there's that much more to say on this building, in all fairness. I'll leave you with a short video of me building it, and I'll come back to you once it's almost done. See you shortly. Hello, so there's the shell of the building. I'm just looking at signage at the minute, so obviously I want a nice big flashy sign on the front of the bar and restaurant. There's so many different options and styles. I did like the shape of that first orange sign, but I think it was a bit too big and the colours didn't quite go. So I went for this sort of snazzy little sign instead. Again, just going to be called Lakeside Bar, just to go with the theme of Lakeside Adventure. Yeah, that's the signage in. Now it's time to look for lighting. So I opted to go for these sort of fairy lights just across the building. And although these look very simple, there's nothing too flashy about them. They do actually work really well. And as you see, once they've been put all around the building, and I'll put it onto nighttime view so you can see it at night, it does really bring the building to life, really. As I say, I want it to be a sort of probably entertainment venue, but again, more of the shell of it as opposed to actually inside it. As I say, it is a few stalls, some food and drink stalls inside, but as opposed to spending time. I know all the creators out there, especially on the PC version, where there is a lot more DLC available at the moment. There is, some creators out there have spent hours, even just designing inside a building. Not quite at that level of detail yet myself, but I think this is a lot more in detail than what I did in my first series of Planet Coaster. So, it's a steady progression. And we are getting there, but it's just taking it one step at a time, really. And as I say, spending this much time designing the building is more than enough of a step forward from the first series for me. So yeah, just over the terrace here, I'm just deciding to put a little wooden roof on, which I think will improve the look of it, and obviously also if the weather turns bad, which fortunately you can control the weather in Planet Coaster, so it never actually does. But if the weather did turn out bad, this would this would obviously help. And also I think it looks better to separate it from the upper terrace. So yeah, I'm just putting the supports onto the roof there. I do continue putting the fairy lights around the building as well. Just had to adjust this roof here to fill out any gaps. And I was going to originally build a roof on the top terrace as well, but I thought no, I'll leave the top terrace open and just put a little porchway over the entrance to the top floor. And then here I am again, as I say, continuing with the fairy lights. Although I've got the fairy lights on the building itself, I wanted some lights between the roof supports here on the front terrace. I did originally look at these fairy lights, and then I wasn't really a fan of them, so I've gone back to the lanterns that I used on the train station on the main entrance. I just think they look really nice as especially as a nighttime sort of setting. So I don't know, they just seem that, you know, they're a lot warmer colour. They're not sort of flashy in your face. Although the fairy lights do look good on the building there, I think there's a way. I think they can, in other scenarios, look a bit cheap and flashy, and I think they would being on these support beams. So, which is why I've gone for a different style of lighting. And I think it works well. I think they work well. I think the fairy lights work well on the building, and these lanterns work well between these supports just here. So yeah, that's just what I'm on with here. I'm just kind of adjusting them to make sure they all are stuck between the poles. Yeah, again, now it's just a case of continuing with these fairy lights all around the building, just to light it up. So just a quick disclaimer on Planet Coaster on the PC. There is a DLC for a World Fairs pack, which helps design and theme towards different countries around the world. So, for example, there is like a German sausage themed restaurant called Chief Wurst or something, and it's little things like that where there's already preset stalls, etc., that are themed towards different countries. Now, obviously, my plan for this park is to have it themed around countries and areas in the world. However, I've not got that DLC on console, so any theming I'm doing will be from what is available on console. So I am trying to do it from what I can picture. If I have been to the country, that will obviously help. If not, I'll be using photos from Google Images and advice from Google as to what what the style of buildings, what sort of styles people think of when they think of those countries, and that's that's sort of where I'm going with it when I'm doing these areas. So I've just finished doing the landscaping for the Lakeside Bar now. So now it's a case of continuing the main path around the park. Basically, my idea is to have one massive loop path that goes all the way around, and then lots of little paths going off it, so that guests have a main walkway that they will follow. But then if they want to, if they get to one country and they want to jump off to the side, then they can go down a smaller path, and it should be quieter there. What I do want to do is between the different park areas, between the different countries or sections, I want to have not a grand entrance, just something that says you're in a new area, etc. You're now here, so that guests are aware that they've left one area and gone to another. Which is just what I'm doing here. I'm just building a little sort of entrance sign, a little entrance building with some signage on, just to explain to people where they are. So this is where we will find out what country the first country is. So I'll leave you in suspense so you can see for yourself. here we are. Here's the signage going on to this area. So the first area of the park, once we get this lined up, we'll edit the sign. Welcome to. Not just yet. Not just yet. You'll have to keep watching. No, this was that when I was building this, I still hadn't really confirmed to myself what area of the park I wanted to build. I did know that bit was the main entrance on the other way, so that was easy enough to design. So this is what the Lakeside Bar looks like at night time, which I think looks really nice. I did put a bit of pink lighting inside it just to brighten up inside. Right, so the first area is the USA. Now, the reason I've gone for the USA, I don't know. There's so much in America that you could theme towards, and I just think it's quite a versatile country to style an area on. So yeah, I've decided to do that and put a bit of simple pathing around. I mean, the pathing layout may change, but that I just want to get the basics sorted. Now, obviously, the USA is one of the biggest countries in the world. So for that area of the park, we needed a big eye-catching roller coaster as one of the main parts of the area and the sort of standout attraction. So I've gone for this werewolf style coaster. So it's as you can see, it is a very sizable coaster. It is going to be eye-catching from all around the parks. Now, what I don't want is for people in different areas to be able to see loads of other areas. I want the areas to almost feel like you're separated from where you just were. So if you're in the US section, you won't be able to see the next country along. Obviously, with a coaster of this size, that isn't possible unless I build a giant wall, and I'm not Donald Trump. So I ain't building a giant wall, but I will design it in a way that it looks aesthetically pleasing, but it's still it's still sort of hidden in a way as best I can. My idea for the theming on this coaster is to base it around Mount Rushmore. So I am going to call this coaster Rush purely because of that. And around the edge of the coaster, I'm probably going to build sort of like some sort of Rocky Mountains, and use that as my basis for the theming. Obviously, I'm going to struggle to design the heads of Mount Rushmore into the game, but I'm just going to stick with sort of like a rocky hillside behind. Here, I'm just testing whether the train gets around the loop. It doesn't, so I just had to quickly adjust it because I did want the loop going around that part of the track, but the loop needed to be smaller, so I just had to adjust it. And before I went on building much more, I wanted to make sure it got round, and it did the second time. So yeah, we're just carry on building around here. It's got a couple of inversions at this point. I think there's 4 inversions at this point. And then there's a 5th one put in just after the vertical loop. So now it's just a case of bringing it back round towards the station. One last little drop there, and then applying the friction brakes, putting in a short block section so I can run a couple of trains at the same time, and then putting in the drive tyres and taking it back to the station. So yeah, if you've got any ideas for the US part of the park, then please do let me know. As I say, I want to design this coaster around Mount Rushmore. The whole of the US, doesn't have to be designed around that, but that's what I'll be doing, and that's probably what I'll be using as my edge of the park. I'll probably put the hills around the edge, and then obviously I've got to bring the train track around this area as well. So I've got to find the best way to put that in so that it fits in, but it doesn't stand out, too much. So whether I take that through the mountains at the side, I don't know. So yeah, in this episode, I will just be building the coaster like I have done. I'll be theming it in the next episode and theming the rest of the area. So yeah, I think the only thing to do now is to take a ride on it. So enjoy. And there we go. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm pleased with that coaster. The results of it are quite good. It's not the results aren't the best coaster results I've ever had, but you know, every coaster isn't going to be perfect, and I think this does the job as a, you know, it fits into the American area quite well. Obviously, I'll repaint the coaster so it's not bright orange, because that's not really the colour you associate with the US. So it'll probably be painted red, white, and blue. But as I say, if you've got any ideas for the US area, then please do let me know. If you have enjoyed this, please give me a like and a subscribe, and I shall see you in episode 3, where we'll be continuing theme in this area. I'll leave you now with some cinematic shots of the coaster, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Goodbye.